I publicly exposed my sister's fake cancer fundraiser after discovering she was using the money for plastic surgery. She's now threatening to reveal my darkest secrets unless I retract my statement. I, 34F, never thought I'd be in a situation where I'd have to choose between protecting my own secrets and allowing my sister Sarah, 31F, to continue scamming people. But here we are, and I need some outside perspective on this mess because I haven't slept properly in weeks and my whole family is imploding. Some background: Sarah has always been the golden child in our family. She's gorgeous, charismatic, and has a way of making people believe whatever she says. Growing up, she could talk her way out of anything while I was always the responsible, somewhat boring older sister who played by the rules. I still remember when she convinced our parents that I was the one who crashed Dad's car into the mailbox when we were teenagers, even though she was the one driving. They grounded me for a month, and she never confessed. Despite our differences, I've always tried to maintain a decent relationship with her. When she got pregnant at 23 with her first child, I was the one who helped her tell our conservative parents. When she struggled with postpartum depression after her second baby, I watched the kids so she could go to therapy. I've spent years trying to be the supportive big sister, even when it felt like I was enabling her more selfish tendencies. About 3 months ago, Sarah announced on social media that she had been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. The post was heart-wrenching. She talked about her fears of leaving her children, ages 7 and 4, motherless, included a photo of herself looking particularly fragile, and detailed how she'd found a lump during a self-exam. The news devastated our entire family. Mom was inconsolable, Dad threw himself into researching treatments, and I immediately stepped up to help with everything I could. Sarah created a GoFundMe campaign for her medical expenses, claiming she needed help with treatment costs that insurance wouldn't cover. She wrote about how her insurance was denying certain experimental treatments that could save her life. The response was overwhelming. Friends, family, and even strangers donated generously. Within weeks, she had raised over $45,000. People organized meal trains, offered to babysit her kids, and even planned a benefit concert at our local church. I started getting suspicious when Sarah kept making excuses about why I couldn't accompany her to her treatments. At first, they seemed reasonable. She wanted to maintain her independence, she had a friend from her support group driving her, the appointments got rescheduled last minute. But the excuses piled up. When I offered to connect her with my friend who runs a cancer support group, she became defensive and changed the subject. What really set off alarm bells was her appearance. My cousin Amy went through breast cancer treatment 2 years ago, and I remembered how quickly the chemo affected her. But Sarah's hair remained perfectly styled, her skin glowed, and she somehow had more energy than ever. When I gently asked about her treatment plan, she'd give vague answers about alternative therapy and holistic approaches. The breaking point came last week. I was at Sarah's apartment helping her organize some paperwork. She claimed the chemo brain made it hard to focus, when I found something that made my blood run cold, a consultation form and price quote from a prestigious plastic surgery clinic in Miami. The documents detailed plans for a full mommy makeover, breast augmentation, tummy tuck, and liposuction, with a surgery date scheduled for next month. The total cost? Almost exactly what she had raised through GoFundMe. There were also printed emails discussing payment plans and recovery timelines. The clinic had even reserved a luxury recovery suite for her 2-week post-op stay. She had thought of everything, even planning to tell everyone the surgery scars were from her cancer procedures. My hands were shaking as I confronted her. At first, she tried to deny it, claiming the consultation was from before her diagnosis. But when I pressed harder, showing her the recent dates on the paperwork, she broke down. Not with remorse, mind you, but with anger. She screamed at me that I didn't understand how hard it was to watch her body go to waste after having 2 kids, while I got to maintain my figure thanks to good genetics. She said she deserved to feel beautiful again and that insurance would never cover the procedures she wanted. "You've always been the pretty one," she spat at me. "You've never known what it's like to hate your reflection, to have your husband barely look at you anymore. These people have money to spare, they're just trying to feel good about themselves by playing savior anyway." I was stunned. Not only was she faking cancer, but she was justifying stealing from people who genuinely wanted to help her. Some donors were cancer survivors themselves or had lost loved ones to the disease. One elderly couple had donated $1,000 of their retirement savings because Sarah's story reminded them of their daughter who passed away from breast cancer last year. A local elementary school had even held a bake sale for her, with children bringing in their piggy bank money to help Miss Sarah fight cancer. After a sleepless night, I decided I couldn't be complicit in this fraud. I gathered all the evidence, the consultation forms, the scheduled surgery date, screenshots of her fundraiser, the emails with the clinic, and posted everything on social media. I also reported her GoFundMe campaign for fraud and contacted everyone who had made major donations to alert them privately before the public post. The fallout was nuclear. Sarah's reputation imploded instantly. The story spread through our small community like wildfire. She lost her job at a local real estate agency, and several close friends cut ties with her completely. Our parents are devastated, not just by her lies but by the shame of having to face their friends and neighbors who had donated money. Her husband Mark, who apparently had no idea about the scam, moved out with the kids to stay with his parents. He left a heartbreaking comment on my post saying he couldn't believe the mother of his children would exploit people's kindness this way, especially after his own mother died of breast cancer 5 years ago. That's when Sarah's threats started. She called me yesterday, crying and screaming that I had ruined her life. Then her tone changed, becoming eerily calm. She said if I didn't delete my posts and publicly claim I had made a mistake, she would expose my darkest secret to everyone, including my husband. The secret she's referring to happened 15 years ago, before I met my husband. I had a brief affair with a married man. I didn't know he was married at first, but I continued seeing him for 2 months after finding out. It ended when his wife discovered the affair and confronted me. The guilt and shame nearly destroyed me, and it took years of therapy to forgive myself. My husband knows I dated someone before him who was unavailable, but he doesn't know the full extent of it. Sarah was the only person I ever confided in about the details of that affair. I trusted her because she had helped me through the aftermath, letting me cry on her shoulder and never judging me. Now she's using it as ammunition. Remember how that woman looked at you when she found out? Sarah said during her threatening call. Imagine how Tom will look at you when he learns the truth about his perfect wife. How do you think your marriage counseling clients will feel about taking advice from a homewrecker? I'm torn. Part of me thinks I deserve to have my secret exposed, what I did was wrong, and maybe this is karma finally catching up to me. But another part of me knows that letting Sarah continue her cancer scam would make me complicit in stealing from innocent people. My husband is the most ethical person I know, and the thought of him learning about my past this way makes me physically ill. My phone has been blowing up with messages from family members. Some are furious with Sarah and thankful I exposed the truth. Others think I should have handled it privately and accuse me of trying to destroy my sister out of jealousy. Mom keeps calling, crying about how her daughters are tearing the family apart. Dad hasn't said a word to either of us since the news broke. Sarah's kids keep asking me why everyone is mad at their mommy and why they had to go stay with grandma and grandpa. How do you explain something like this to children? Their innocent faces make this whole situation even more heartbreaking. Sarah gave me 48 hours to fix this before she tells everyone everything. I don't know what to do. If I stand my ground, I could lose my husband and whatever reputation I have left. If I back down, I'm allowing my sister to steal from people using one of the most despicable lies imaginable. Update, 24 hours later, I want to thank everyone for their overwhelming support and advice. After reading your comments and doing a lot of soul-searching, I decided to tell my husband everything before Sarah could. We talked all night, there were tears, hard questions, and painful moments, but he held me while I confessed every detail of my past mistake. He was hurt that I hadn't trusted him with the truth sooner, but he said he loves the person I am now, not who I was 15 years ago. We've all done things we're not proud of, he said. But you've spent years helping other couples heal their relationships, being honest with yourself, and trying to be a better person. That matters more than a mistake you made before we even met. With that weight lifted, I called Sarah's bluff. I told her I had already confessed to my husband and that she had no power over me anymore. She hung up on me. This morning, I received a call from a detective who's investigating Sarah for fraud. Apparently, several donors have pressed charges, and the police are building a case. They asked me to provide a statement and turn over all the evidence I have. Sarah has deleted all her social media accounts and isn't responding to anyone's calls. Our cousin told me she's left town, presumably to stay with friends in another state. Mark has filed for emergency custody of the kids, citing her demonstrated pattern of deception as evidence of her unfitness as a primary caregiver. Mom is still heartbroken, but Dad surprised me by finally breaking his silence. He came to my house this morning, sat at my kitchen table, and cried for the first time I've ever seen in my life. He said he's proud of me for doing the right thing, even though it was hard. He admitted that he failed as a parent by always enabling Sarah's behavior, making excuses for her lies because it was easier than confronting the truth. Maybe if I'd been harder on her when she was younger, he said, she wouldn't have turned into someone who could fake having the disease that killed her grandmother. I don't know what the future holds for my relationship with Sarah, but I do know I can finally look at myself in the mirror without feeling like a coward. Sometimes doing the right thing means facing our own demons first. Update 2. 1 week later, the situation has developed significantly. The detective informed me that Sarah had apparently been planning this scam for months. They found evidence that she had researched other cancer fundraising stories to make hers more convincing, and had even purchased fake medical documents online to show anyone who asked too many questions. The plastic surgery clinic has fully cooperated with the investigation, providing all communications with Sarah. Apparently, she had inquired about their discretion policies regarding high-profile clients, suggesting she knew exactly what she was doing. Mark found additional evidence while moving out of their house, a notebook where Sarah had detailed her plans, including scripts for social media posts and ways to make herself look more ill for photos. The level of premeditation is staggering. The GoFundMe platform has frozen all funds and is working on refunding donations. I've set up a separate fund to help repay people who donated cash directly to Sarah, starting with my own savings. The elderly couple who donated their retirement money will be my first priority. As for our family, we're all in therapy, individually and as a group. Mom and Dad are working through their guilt about Sarah's upbringing, and I'm processing my own complex feelings about everything that's happened. My husband has been my rock through all of this. He's even offered to help pay back the donors, saying healing your family's karma is part of our journey together now. Sarah finally texted me yesterday, "I hope you're happy with yourself. You've ruined everything." I didn't respond. There's nothing left to say. Thank you, Reddit, for helping me find the courage to be honest with the person who matters most. Whatever happens next, I know I made the right choice. Edit 1. Holy cow, this blew up overnight. Thank you for all the awards and supportive messages. To address some common questions. 1. Yes, I've provided all documentation to GoFundMe's fraud department and the police. They're working on refunding all donations. 2. Several people have asked about the elderly couple who donated their retirement money. I've personally reached out to them and will be arranging full restitution, even if I have to pay it myself. 3. For those asking about my husband's reaction to this post, he's actually sitting next to me reading the comments and says to tell you all thank you for encouraging me to be honest with him. 4. To the cancer survivors and families who have shared their stories in the comments, your strength and resilience are incredible, and I'm so sorry my sister exploited the compassion people have for those truly battling this terrible disease. Edit 2. Many have asked about Sarah's kids. They're doing as well as can be expected, given the circumstances. Mark's parents are amazing grandparents, and are helping them process everything with the help of a child psychologist. The school counselor has also been wonderful in providing support. Edit 3. For those asking if I'll press charges, I'm leaving that decision to the police and the donors who were directly defrauded. My focus right now is on helping repair the damage to our community and healing our family. Remember, folks, sometimes the hardest person to be honest with is yourself, but it's always worth it in the end. And if you're considering donating to any medical fundraiser, always verify the details first. Compassion is beautiful, but sadly, some people will exploit it. Final thought, looking back at everything that's happened, I realize that exposing Sarah's lie wasn't just about stopping a scam, it was about breaking a lifetime pattern of enabling toxic behavior in the name of family loyalty. Sometimes love means being strong enough to let someone face the consequences of their actions, even when it breaks your heart to do so. Final edit, 3 months later, I wasn't planning on updating this post again, but something happened yesterday that I needed to share. I was at the grocery store when I ran into the elderly couple who had donated their retirement money to Sarah's fake fund. Mrs. Anderson spotted me first and, to my surprise, waved me over. My heart was pounding as I approached them. Even though we'd sorted out the refund weeks ago, I still felt ashamed facing people my sister had hurt. But Mrs. Anderson hugged me. Right there between the produce and the dairy section, she just wrapped her arms around me and held on tight. Mr. Anderson had tears in his eyes when she finally let go. "We've been praying for your family," she said. "And we wanted you to know that what you did, exposing the truth even though it hurt, that's exactly what our Jenny would have done." She'd always said the hardest kind of brave is being honest when it costs you something. They invited me to coffee, and we spent 2 hours talking about their daughter Jenny, who died of breast cancer 3 years ago. They showed me her pictures, told me stories about her fight, her courage, her refusal to let cancer dim her light. By the end, we were all crying, but it was the healing kind of tears. As for Sarah, she's agreed to enter a treatment program for compulsive lying and narcissistic personality disorder. It was part of her plea deal. She's facing charges but might avoid jail time if she completes the program and makes full restitution. She's lost custody of the kids for now, but Mark is letting her have supervised visits if she stays in therapy. Mom and Dad are doing better. They're in counseling too, working through their guilt about Sarah's upbringing. Dad recently told me that enabling her behavior was their way of compensating for being too strict with me. "We thought we were being kind," he said, "but we were actually being cruel, to both of you." The kids are adjusting. My nephew asked me yesterday why his mommy had pretended to be sick. I told him sometimes grown-ups make big mistakes when they're hurting inside, but that doesn't mean they don't love their children. He thought about it for a moment, then asked if that's why she has to talk to the feelings doctor now. Kids understand more than we think. My husband and I renewed our vows last weekend, a small ceremony, just family and close friends. When we wrote our own vows this time, we promised to always be honest, even when it's scary. Especially when it's scary. I've learned that there are 2 kinds of secrets, the ones that protect us and the ones that poison us. My affair was the poisonous kind. It grew more toxic the longer I kept it hidden. Sarah's threat to expose it ended up being a twisted kind of gift. Sometimes it takes losing everything to realize you never needed it in the first place. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. To everyone dealing with their own toxic family situations, stay strong. The truth really does set you free, even if the path to freedom feels like walking through fire. And to Sarah, if you ever read this, I forgive you, but I'll never forget. I hope you find whatever it is you've been looking for in all the wrong places. The door will always be open, but only if you walk through it honest and whole. Remember, folks, healing isn't linear. Family isn't just blood. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit when someone you love is wrong.